Okay. Hey guys. I'm gonna put you guys in a jar while I fold all these laundries. There. Stay charged. Hey guys. Hey guys. Without you, blue Christmas, without you. So I'm doing laundry because Neil starts work today and I need to do laundry. Hey Jason. So I'm folding laundry. Then I gotta go to Walmart and get Nate's food for his lunches for school. Man, I'm tired this week. It's like some days I wake up and I like feel energetic, right? And then there's other days I wake up and I'm just like not feeling life, you know? And I don't know if that's like, because I have hepatitis or if it's because it's just colder outside or what. But sometimes I think, do I want too much? Am I wanting to feel like so much energy that it's like a high feeling? Because maybe that's why I don't feel normal, because I perceive, like I think that I should feel a certain way, you know? Sucks. Because I associate like having energy with like feeling, I don't know what I'm saying. What are y'all saying? Like I have to get this laundry folded, you know? Have to. Hey, I'm a new subject. You great. Hey, Amber, what's up? Not feeling life at the moment. I still feel dead tired. I know. So that's what I was saying. Sam. Well, Amber girl, I'm glad you're here because you know what? That's what my channel is about. It's just me, and this is my life, and this is what I do to stay sober, and these are the things that works for me. And so I just try to share my experience, like how it relates to me. I try not to like try to teach or anything or be bossy or anything like that. Like I just try to share what works for me, because like I have tried to get sober for like 10 years, and so 5 of them like really trying, and it was fucking hard, you know. So and it was because like I couldn't get my shit together, you know. I couldn't make a decision to, like, y'all know what I'm saying. We were talking about this yesterday in the meeting I went to. It was about honesty, right? And so when it came around to me to share, you guys, y'all don't understand. I was bursting at the seams to want to share because I could relate so much to not getting honest and not being able to get sober, because I couldn't even admit to myself that I could not stop getting high. Like, I was like, oh, I can do this. Everything I tried to do didn't work. Like, I would try to just drink and not take dope, or I would try to just take pills and not smoke. And every time I tried, it would not work out because what I was trying to do was like manage my drug addiction. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I was trying to manage the intake of substances into my body. And when you're a drug addict, you can't manage the intake of those substances because your body and your mind becomes addicted to them. So it's like, it's almost like muscle memory that like always getting high. So when I got sober, I had to reteach myself how to live without those drugs. And just like when I taper off my medication, my off of Suboxone, I'll have to teach myself how to stay sober without that, which, you know, that's why I go to like therapy and I have you guys and I do meetings and I have a sponsor and I got hella support because I'm preparing myself for when I do decide to get off Suboxone, if that's coming up soon. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I mean, the more I think about it, the more I pray about it, the more I like think that, you know, I can do it, you know, like the more confident I'm getting in myself and like my little routine that I have here for recovery, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's just life, man. The struggle's real. The struggle is real. So yesterday in the meeting, I fucking bawled my eyes out. I don't know if you guys watched that video yesterday, but what is akathisia? What is that, my benzo hell, George? Amber, where did you come from, girl? How'd you find us? I'd like to know that. Did you come from Reddit? Or did you find me from, just here? You can get it from the drug withdrawal, but it's the same. Some people. The shakiness? Oh, that's all you had to say. That's all you had to say. Parkinson's. I know what you're talking about. Them shakes. That sucks. Is it? Oh, my heck, like meds. It is hell. Yeah, I bet. Lord. I haven't had that. Well, you know what? I don't know. When I ran out of my Wellbutrin the other day, I was out of it for almost a week, you guys. And I was fucking driving down the road. And it was like, the road felt like it was going like this, like close up to me as I was driving. It was like a weird sensation. It was like, I don't know how to explain. My vision was fucking up. And I also noticed that, like, I had a really, really bad headache for like 2 days. And I could not get the headache to go away. So I was thinking, I've been kind of trying to think about, you know, what I wanted to talk about with you guys, because what I feel like happens, I feel like I get going and we get talking about so many things in one video, and then I run out of things I feel like I want to talk about after that. You know what I mean? Because I get on a tangent, and I'll go for like, you know, a good hour on a couple topics. But I know that the holidays are getting closer. Get myself off of it. I think I was letting it nuts. Oh, I'm not off of it. I just got it refilled. I had just ran out. I saw you in the Rev stream one day. Oh, thanks, baby. Yeah.
Can you put Ashlyn over?
Yeah. It's really early, so can you give me a second?
No.
No. Well, here's the tea, y'all. Don't do that. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Today is the day that we get ready for the week, for Monday. That's what we do here on Sundays. We get ready for the work week because Mama has to start work on Monday. Nate has to go back to school. And, yeah, skew. And then, after this week, Nate's out of school for 2 weeks because of the holidays. So, Mama's got to get everything in line, got to get all his outfits washed because he wears uniforms to school. and get the house somewhat organized so that way we don't run around like crazy people in the morning looking for our stuff. Yeah, bud.
Turtle.
Oh, I see you, turtle. Very good. All right. Hashtag mom life. You know, when I was growing up, you guys, like after I like started dating guys and stuff, and I think like probably my second boyfriend, I never thought that I would have kids, ever. In fact, I would always tell people that like, you know, I wasn't gonna have kids because I just didn't think I'd be a good mom. You know, I didn't think that was gonna be in the cards for me, and I also didn't think that I was able to give birth. I didn't think I could get pregnant. That's what I mean. I didn't think I could get pregnant. And so many, many, many years of back and forth addiction, you know, that's probably why I didn't get pregnant, because I was in active addiction for so many years. But once I met Neil, whew, we weren't even together for 2 years and we got pregnant. I kind of locked him in, didn't I, y'all? But now that I have children, it's like I would never change it for the world. That's right, Jennifer. Sorry, how you doing, girl? Are you struggling? And that's what we do. Like, okay, let's do our morning routine, okay, guys? Like, I'm trying to get you guys in the habit of doing the same morning routine I do. So we wake up in the morning, and what do? We turn our will over. So here we go. We're going to do our prayer right now. Take my will in my life, guide me in my recovery, and show me how to live clean and serene. That's our little prayer, okay? Then, once we say our prayer, we get up and we make a conscious decision. I'm going to stay sober today. Today, I'm going to live my life clean. Today, I'm going to make good decisions. Today, I'm going to do something to help someone else. Today, if you have to, guys, be of service to your kids. If you're at home and you have children and you're struggling with wanting to drink, do something special for your children. Take them out to the park. Go play with them. Cook them something special. If you don't have kids, go hang out with your family. Do something with your parents. Call a friend over. Hey, come over. Let's go do something. Go to a meeting. Let's hang out. But do something for somebody else today. I promise you, if you're struggling with staying sober, if you will get outside of your head, stop being selfish for just 1 minute, and go help someone else, go do something special for someone else, I promise you that you won't want to drink anymore. You'll forget all about it. Go do something for someone else. Best thing I ever did was get outside of my head, stop thinking, and go help somebody else. And I haven't thought about drinking or using in years, because I keep my mind on the prize. I keep my mind focused on the solution, which is giving back what was so freely given to me, reading my literature, praying, meditating. All those things help me stay in the solution. And so there's days where I have bad days, you guys, like for real. I have bad days and I fucking feel shitty. But even on my bad days, like I still know that I gotta stay in the solution. I still know that I gotta focus on my recovery and doing the next right thing and helping other people. Coming on here, shit, there's days I don't want to come on here, you guys. Like, look at me. Do I look like look at me? But I know that if I come on here and I share some of my experience with you guys and I help somebody else, that I won't want to get high. Okay, laundry is folded. Hey, that was so fast. It was so quick. I folded all my laundry because, what? I was talking to you guys, so that was easy. I know. Y'all, I'm sorry. Excuse my face. Yesterday as well. How do you... So that's what's just been doing it right for me. So last night, you guys, I told you guys about the meeting when I got back. Well, after that, I came back and we did a video, and I read one of the stories out of the back of the big book, and it was so freaking good, you guys. I also wanted to read one other thing to you guys, okay? So I want y'all to listen up, okay? The medical view on AA, okay? So here we go. Since Dr. Silkworth's first endorsement of Alcoholics Anonymous, medical societies and physicians throughout the world have set their approval upon us. Following our excerpts from the comments of doctors present at the annual meeting of the Medical Society of the State of New York, where a paper on AA was read. Here's the paper. Dear Foster Kennedy, neurologist, this organization of Alcoholics Anonymous calls on two of the greatest reservoirs of power known to men, religion and that instinct for association with one's fellows, the herd instinct. I think our profession must take appreciative cognizance of this great therapeutic weapon. If we do not do so, we shall stand convicted of emotional sterility and of having lost the faith that moves mountains, without which medicine can do little. Dr. G. Kirby Collier, psychiatrist, says, I have felt that AA is a group unto themselves, and their best results can be had under their own guidance as a result of their philosophy. Any therapeutic or philosophic procedure which can prove a recovery rate of 50 to 60% must merit our consideration. And then Dr. Harry M. says, as a psychiatrist, I have thought a great deal about the relationship of my specialty to AA, and I have come to the conclusion that our particular function can very often lie in preparing the way for the patient to accept any sort of treatment or outside help. I now conceive the psychiatrist's job to be the task of breaking down the patient's inner resistance so that which is inside him will flower, as under the activity of the AA program. Okay, so the American Psychiatric Association requested in 1949 that a paper be prepared by one of the older members of Alcoholics Anonymous to be read at the association's annual meeting of that year. This was done, and the paper was printed in the American Journal of Psychiatry in November of 1949. So even the medical society recognizes that the program, the 12 steps, help people, and that sense of fellowship and connecting with other people who are also sober, and finding a power greater than yourself helps you a lot. It helps a lot, you guys. And so that's what we have kind of going on right here. We have a little fellowship going on here where we all meet on my channel and we talk and we help each other out, I have no idea what y'all are talking about. Hey, Avalon. Oh, we all talk about CBD oil. Oh, my back is killing me, you guys. So anyway, I wanted to, let me find something. Okay, I'm trying to find something I want to talk to you guys about. Hey. I love reading the back of the book. Just having a safe place to go helps so much. I know. I think it does too. It helps me too. Believe that. Did you guys watch Rock and Roberta's video? We're fixing to start doing this. We're fixing to start doing this thing for weight loss. If y'all want to join in. Oh, I gotta read this one page to you guys because you know what? If you haven't heard it, then this is just. Here we go. Let me just. This whole fucking chapter is like fucking bomb. Okay? It's called Acceptance is the Answer. It's a whole chapter. It's a whole story. Y'all want me to read it or no? Oh, I'll just read a little bit of it to you. No, I think a lot of you guys could relate to this. If you want to hear the story, I'm going to read it, okay? I think y'all will really, really like this. So it's called Acceptance Was the Answer. The physician wasn't hooked. He thought he had just prescribed drugs medically indicated for his many ailments. Acceptance was his key to liberation. So this is about a doctor who takes medicine. Here, listen up. Okay, you're going to like this. Okay, if there ever was anyone who came to AA by mistake, it was I. And I'm going to act like I'm him. I just didn't belong here. Never in my wildest moments had it occurred to me that I might like to be an alcoholic. And when I say alcoholic, you guys, that means addict too. Don't think, oh, I'm not that. It's the same exact thing. Alcohol is a drug. Duh. So we're all that, okay? Never once had my mother ever even hinted at the idea that when I grew up, I might like to be president of AA. Not only did I not think that being an alcoholic was a good idea, I didn't even feel that I had all that much of a drinking problem. Of course, I had problems, all sorts of problems. If you had my problems, you'd drink too, was my feeling. My major problems were marital. If you had my wife, you'd drink too. Max and I, Max is his wife, had been married for 28 years when I ended up in AA. It started out as a good marriage, but it deteriorated over the years as she progressed through the various stages of qualifying for Al-Anon. At first, she would say, "You don't love me. Why don't you admit it?" Later, she would say, "You don't like me. Why don't you admit it?" And as her disease was reaching the terminal stages, she was screaming, "You hate me! You hate me! Why don't you admit you hate me?" So I admitted it. I remember very well saying, "There's only one person in the world whose guts I hate worse than yours, and those are my own." She cried a bit and went to bed. That was the only answer to problems that she had left. I cried a bit and then mixed myself another drink. Today, we don't have to live like that anymore. Max hadn't gotten that way because I didn't care. Indeed, it seemed that I cared too much. I had sent her to 4 consecutive psychiatrists, and not one of them had gotten me sober. I also sent my kids to psychiatrists. I remember one time, even the dog had a psychiatric diagnosis. I yelled at Max, "What do you mean? The dog just needs more love. You tell that dumb cat and dog doctor he's not a Beverly Hills psychiatrist. All I want to know is, why does the dog wet in my lap every time I hold him? That dog hasn't wet my pants once since I joined AA, and neither have I." So, the harder I worked with Max, the sicker she got. So when it ended up at a psycho ward, I wasn't all that surprised. But then, when the steel door slammed shut and she was the one that went home, I was truly amazed. I had begun to drink in the early years of pharmacy school in order to get to sleep. After going to school all day, working in the family drugstore all evening, and then studying until 1 or 2 in the morning, I would not be able to sleep soundly with everything I had been studying going around in my head. I would be half asleep and half awake, and in the morning I would be both tired and stupid. Then I found the solution. At the end of study time, I would drink 2 beers, jump in bed, sleep real fast, and wake up smart. I drank my way through school and always got honors. And as I went through pharmacy school, graduate school, medical school, internship, residency, and specialty training, and finally went into practice, my drinking kept increasing. But I thought it was because my responsibilities were increasing. If you had my responsibilities, if you needed to sleep like I do, you'd drink too. My drinking took place after work hours. I remember finding myself in the middle of the night in the doctor's parking lot, at the hospital with one foot in the car and one foot on the ground, not knowing which was the lead foot, finding myself hanging up the telephone, then realizing I had gotten out of bed and answered the phone, turned on the light, and carried on a conversation with a patient. I didn't know whether I had told him to rush to the hospital and I'd meet him there, or take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning. With a problem like that, I couldn't go back to sleep. So I'd sit up, watch old Wallace Berry movies on an all-night TV, and drink. The longer the drinking continued, the shorter the time the alcohol would keep me asleep. I would have to drink myself back to sleep again and again throughout the night. But I never became a morning drinker. Instead, I had a 5 a.m. shut-off time. If it was 1 minute before 5, I'd drink myself back to sleep. If it was 1 minute after, I'd stay up and act like a martyr all day. It became progressively harder to get up in the morning until one day I asked myself what I would do for a patient who felt this rotten. Here's where it gets good. The answer came right back. I'd give him something to pep him up. So I immediately started taking and shooting pep pills. You hear that? Eventually, I was taking 45 milligrams of long-acting Benzedrine and 45 of those short-acting just to get out of bed in the morning. I took more through the day to increase the high and more to maintain it, and I overshot the mark. I'd take tranquilizers to level off. The pep pills affected my hearing at times. I couldn't listen fast enough to hear what I was saying. I wonder why I'm saying that again. I've already said it 3 times. Still, I couldn't turn my mouth off. For the leveling off process, I just loved intravenous Demerol, but I found it hard to practice good medicine while shooting morphine. Following an injection, I would have to keep one hand busy scratching my constantly itching nose and would also have sudden uncontrollable urges to vomit. I never got much effect out of codeine and Percodan and the tranquilizers. However, for a period of time, I was injecting pentofol intravenously to put myself to sleep. Pentothal. That's the stuff used when the oral surgeon puts the needle in your vein and says, count to 10, and before you get to 2, you're asleep. Instant blackout was what it was, and it seemed delightful. I didn't feel like I could lie in bed and squirt the stuff in my veins while my kids and wife stood around watching me, so I kept the drug in my bag and the bag in my car and the car in the garage. Luckily, the garage was attached to the house. In the garage, I would put the needle in my vein and then try to figure out exactly how much medication to inject to overcome the pep pills while adding to the sleeping pills while ignoring the tranquilizers in order to just get enough to be able to pull out the needle, jerk the tourniquet, throw it in the car, slam the car door shut, run down the hall, and fall in the bed after I fell asleep. It was hard to judge the right amount. One night, I had to put myself back to sleep 3 times, and then I finally decided to give it up. But to do so, I had to get all the stuff out of the house and out of my possession. In the end, I had to do the same with alcohol and all pills. I wasn't able to quit chemicals as long as they were in the house. If they were around, I always found a need for them, especially the pills. I never in my life took a tranquilizer, sedative, or pep pill because I was a pillhead. I always took it because I had the symptom that only that pill would relieve. Therefore, every pill was medically indicated at the time it was taken. For me, pills don't produce the desire to swallow a pill. They produce the symptoms that require that the pill be taken for relief. As a physician and pharmacist who had grown up in the drugstore home, I had a pill for every ill, and I was sick a lot. Today I find I can't work my AA program while taking pills, nor may I even have them around for dire emergencies. I can't say thy will be done and take a pill. I can't say I'm powerless over alcohol, but solid alcohol is okay. I can't say, God, restore me to sanity, but until he does, I'll control myself with pills. Giving up alcohol alone was not enough for me. I've had to give up all mood and mind altering chemicals in order to stay sober and comfortable. On 2 occasions over weekends, I had decided I would take absolutely nothing. On each occasion, I had a convulsion on Sunday morning. Both times, my reaction was that I had nothing to drink the night before, so obviously alcohol had nothing to do with it. The neurologist in charge of my case didn't think to ask me whether I drank, and I didn't think to tell him. As a result, he couldn't figure out why I had convulsions and he had decided to send me to the Mayo Clinic. It seemed to me I needed a consultation first. I happened to be the best diagnostician I knew at the time, and certainly I knew my case better than anyone else. So I sat down with me, went over the facts behind the convulsions, personality changes, daily headaches, sense of impending doom, sense of impending insanity. Suddenly, it was obvious to me. I had a brain tumor and would die, and everyone would be sorry for me. The Mayo Clinic seemed like a good place to have a diagnosis confirmed. After 9 days of tests at the Mayo Clinic, I was put in the lock ward, of all places. That's when that steel door slammed shut and Max was the one who went home. I didn't like being on the nut ward, and I particularly didn't like being forced to ice cookies on Christmas Eve. So I raised enough fuss that they finally agreed to let me sign out against medical advice. Max accepted responsibility for me after I had promised never to drink again, never to take another pill, and never to swear again, and never talk to girls again. We got on the plane and immediately had a big fight over whether I'd drink the free booze. Max won. I didn't drink it. But by God, I wouldn't talk or eat either. And that was how Max and I and our 2 daughters spent Christmas Day 8 years ago. When we got home, I got a bottle of scotch and went to bed. The next day, Max called the neurologist and told him about the Mayo psychiatrist's opinion. He arranged for me to see a local psychiatrist who quickly decided I should be in the mental health unit of our local hospital. The people there insisted on putting me in a ward, when Max and I both knew I ought to have a private room. Finally, she asked, "Do you realize he's on the staff of this hospital?" And I got my private room. Time went by very, very slowly on my second nut ward. I never could quite get the knack of it and kept asking myself, what's a nice guy like me doing in a place like this? They wanted me to make leather belts of all things. Had I gone to school all those years just to sit and make leather belts? Besides, I couldn't understand the instructions. The girl had explained them to me 4 times, and I was too embarrassed to ask her again. I am pleased to state, however, that I had gone to only a very few AA meetings before I was able to make a really beautiful pair of moccasins and half of a wallet. I wore those moccasins every night for the next 7 years until they wore out. For my 7th AA birthday, my program-oriented Al-Anon wife had my moccasins bronzed. Now I own perhaps the most costly pair of moccasins anyone has ever seen, and they help me remember where I've been. In the hospital, I hung on to the idea I had most of my life, that if I could just control the external environment, the internal environment would then become comfortable. Much of my time was spent writing letters, notes, orders, and lists of things for Max, who is also my office nurse, to keep the world running. Wow. I was locked up. One has to be pretty sick to do that, and perhaps one has to be even sicker to come back every day for a new list, as she did. Today, we don't have to live like that. Max still works with me in the office, but we have turned our wills and our lives over, our work over to the care of God, each with the other as a witness. We took the 3rd step out loud, just as it says in the big book. And life keeps getting simpler and easier as we try to reverse my old idea by taking care of the internal environment via the 12 steps and letting the external environment take care of itself. So we have to work on our insides before anything on the outside is ever going to get better, you guys. And that's where we start, on the inside first. One day, as I sat there in the hospital, my psychiatrist walked up behind me and asked, "How'd you like to talk to the man from AA?" My reaction was that I'd already helped all the patients on the ward, and I still had plenty of problems of my own without trying to help some drunk from AA. By the look on the psychiatrist's face, I could tell that it would only really make him happy if I agreed. So for no better reason than to make him happy, I agreed. Very shortly, I realized that I had been that had been a mistake. When this big clown came bounding into the room, almost shouting, "My name is Frank, and I'm an alcoholic!" I really felt sorry for him. The only thing in life he had to brag about was the fact that he was an alcoholic. It wasn't until later that he told me he was an attorney. So, a lot of people have the disease of addiction and alcoholism. Many people who have great jobs, people who don't have great jobs, people who are rich, people who are poor. Like, it doesn't discriminate. Against my better judgment, I went to a meeting with him that night, and a strange thing began to happen. The psychiatrist, who had generally been ignoring me, now became quite interested. Every day he would ask me all kinds of questions about the AA meetings. At first I wondered whether he was alcoholic himself and was sending me to find out about AA. But it quickly became obvious that he had this childish notion instead. If he could get me to go to enough meetings while in the hospital, I would continue to go after he let me out. For no better reason than to fool him, I asked Frank to take me to a meeting every night. And Frank did set me up for a meeting every night except Friday, when he thought he might have a date with his girlfriend. That's a devil of a way to run an organization, I thought, and I reported Frank to the psychiatrist, who didn't seem perturbed. He just got someone else to take me on Fridays. Eventually, the psychiatrist discharged me from the hospital, and Max and I began going to meetings ourselves. Right from the start, I felt that they weren't doing anything for me, but they sure were helping Max. We sat in the back and talked only to each other. It was precisely a year before I spoke at an AA meeting. Although we enjoyed the laughter in the early days, I heard a lot of things that I thought were stupid. I interpreted sober as meaning drinking, but not being drunk. When a big, healthy-looking young fellow stood up there and said, "I'm a success today if I don't drink today," I thought, man, I've got 1,000 things to do today before I can brag about not taking a drink, for God's sakes. Of course, I was still drinking at the time. Today, there's absolutely nothing in the world more important to me than keeping this alcoholic sober. Not taking a drink is by far the most important thing I do each day. It seemed that all they talked about at meetings was drinking, drinking, drinking. It made me thirsty. I wanted to talk about my many big problems. Drinking seemed a small one, and I knew that giving up one drink for one day wouldn't really do any good. Finally, after 7 months, I decided to try it. To this day, I am amazed at how many of my problems, most of which had nothing to do with drinking, I believed have become manageable or have simply disappeared since I quit drinking. I had already given up all the narcotics, most of the pills, and some of the alcohol when I first came to AA. By early July, I tapered off alcohol completely, and I got off all the pills in ensuing few months. When the compulsion to drink left, it was relatively easy to stay off alcohol, but for some time it was difficult to keep from taking a pill when I had an appropriate symptom, such as a cough, pain, anxiety, insomnia, muscle spasms, or an upset stomach. It has gotten progressively easier. Today I feel I have used up my right to chemical peace of mind. It helped me a great deal to become convinced that alcoholism was a disease, not a moral issue, that I had been drinking as a result of a compulsion, even though I had not been aware of the compulsion at the time. People of AA had something that looked much better than what I had, but I was afraid to let go of what I had in order to try something new. There was a certain sense of security in the familiar. At last, acceptance proved to be the key to my drinking problem. After I had been around AA for 7 months, tapering off alcohol and pills, not finding the program working well, I was finally able to say, "Okay, God, it is true that I, of all people, strange as it may seem, and even though I didn't give my permission, really, really am an alcoholic, and it's all right with me. Now, what am I going to do about it? When I stopped living in the problem and began living in the answer, the problem went away. From that moment on, I have not had a single compulsion to drink. And acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life, unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way as it's supposed to be at that moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing, happens in God's world by mistake. Until I could accept my alcoholism, I could not stay sober. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. So I'm going to stop there. So anyway, that story goes like on and on, but it just goes, the reason I read that story is because, first of all, Max, his wife, and him are just like me and Neil. Only Max isn't an addict too, but it reminds me a lot of us. And all we have to do, you guys, is like work on making the change inside of ourselves. You know, once we stop using drugs and drinking and start trying to work on the inside and start actually trying to reach out for help, then the problems that we have, like all the legal, for instance, let me give you an example. For me, when I quit doing drugs and I got sober and I went to treatment and I got help and I started going to therapy, then I was able to take care of my fines and fees, my legal problems, all the like fighting and shit that me and my mother-in-law used to go through all the time. It was awful. We would fight all the time. Now, we get along great. I mean, it's a miracle. It was all because I stopped drinking and using drugs. You know, all those things that would happen on the outside it was all because of my alcoholism and my addiction, you guys. And now we don't have to live like that anymore, you know. Thanks, Max. It's amazing to me that even back then, I mean, listen to that guy. That guy was a doctor. He was prescribing himself Demerol and morphine and shooting up. And what he was doing is things that we have all done. We have all done those things. We were trying to stop using cocaine, so we would take Xanax instead. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were always substituting, trying to find the magic solution to our addiction. And the solution is to not use. The solution is to reach out and get help, you know? What? How are y'all only seeing my forehead? Well, I guess that's... Well, oh God. Hashtag relatable, hashtag mom life. Well, hell. You guys, I'm sorry about that. It's a nice forehead, isn't it? I had y'all set up in the little mug. That's because you were too busy talking about, what were you talking about? I was on morphine drip. George. Oh, Lord. Anyway, life is good today, you guys. We ain't got to get high today. You know what I mean? We can make the decision to stay sober today. And that's the good thing about it. Like, we can take our power back. And if you're struggling and you haven't gotten sober, today's the day, you know. Today's the day to reach out for help and get some fucking treatment, y'all. If you're struggling, I could go on a tangent and sit here and just like ramble about it, but it's just like I was talking last night in the meeting. When you're ready, you'll do it. What happens is, this is what happened for me. When my son got taken away, I was just fucking like, you know what? I gotta do something different. It was like I had just gotten to the point where every single thing was just building up and building up and building up. And I feel like that's what happens, is like we just get tired. We get sick and tired of living the way we were living. Or maybe the consequences of living that way had just gotten so bad that we're like, you know what, I need to make a change. So whatever it is, like, it fucking is worth it. The change is worth it. So I just wanted to read that. I love reading out of the big book with you guys. Like, I really think that if you really listen a lot, I mean, I know I wasn't a doctor, but I can relate to the substitution and the trying different ways to not get totally sober, but you know what I'm saying, like to keep on kind of dabbling. And even, you know, with my medically assisted treatment, like if I wasn't supervised by a doctor, if we were all just like out there buying dope off the street to like medically assist ourselves, that would be, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a lot of us are really, really fortunate because we are able to be on medically assisted treatment and have a doctor that is guiding us and helping us make good decisions. Because I still have to consult my doctor whenever I do anything, you guys, because about my medication, because I want to make sure I'm making the best decision, you know. And it's just, I'm just proud of us. Everybody keep doing what you're doing. If you're struggling and you need to talk, message me on Instagram. My Instagram is in the description box. Go follow me over there. Go follow me on Twitter. Let's talk. I have a Twitter Messenger set up for you guys. I have Hangouts Messenger set up for you guys. I'm messaging you guys all over every social media. So if you need me, you can find me. How old is he, Amber? And how long has he been doing good for? Because, you know, I mean, a lot of people, they might have trouble with drinking, but they're not really alcoholic, you know? Okay, so let me, I hate me. I feel like there's a difference between, like, you know, when you're an alcoholic, you will keep on going. It's like abuse combined with negative behaviors combined with consequences is a alcoholism. You know what I'm saying? Like, but some people can drink and get their ass kicked and say, you know what? I got a DWI. I can't do this anymore. And they'll never drink again, you know? And they'll then that's it. It's like they learn. But I feel like when you have a negative consequence and you learn from it, that's not alcoholism. An alcoholic does not give a fuck about the consequences. Excuse my language. An alcoholic will keep going back even after the consequences. Do you know what I'm saying? So so what happens is it's fresh right now. He got that DWI and it's fresh in his mind that like he can't do that or he can get in trouble. You know what I mean? But I'm going to tell you right now, if he struggles with like any self-esteem issues or like, I know that drinking alcohol was like something I did because I felt insecure. And I thought, well, if I drank that, I would be more fun. Especially like I would go to parties with my friends. At that age, 20-something, I was, you know, wanting to kick it with my friends. They were all drinking. They were all partying. The peer pressure was strong. And so when I would go out, I felt this like pressure from my friends to drink when I was younger, before I got alcoholic, you know, before I always drank alcoholically. Like I always abused alcohol. Okay, and so you got to be real careful, because what will happen is a lot of times when we are when we suffer with mental illness, we will self-medicate with alcohol or drugs because we are dealing with internal, pain or internal trauma, and our mental illnesses. I know a lot of addicts and alcoholics struggle with dual diagnosis, and therapy. If he's not doing some kind of therapy, he needs to do therapy. Like, get him in to see somebody once a month. Just any little thing will help. Someone he can talk to that's not mom, because it's hard whenever our moms love us and we want to talk to them, but it's not the same when we can talk to somebody that has no connection, no emotional connection to us, who can be objective. And so if he had somebody that he could go to and talk to that wasn't you, that he could trust, it would be so awesome. And, meetings, when we go to meetings, they're not going to help us. We have to go in with an open mind. And a lot of the times what will happen is we'll go into the meetings and we'll be closed off. And we'll say, I don't need this. I don't need to be here with these people. I'm not the same as them. And we'll look for all the differences and not any of the similarities. And a lot of the times we'll do what? Contempt prior to investigation. And we will basically go in with our mind closed off, and we can't accept any of this knowledge and this experience that's being shared with us from people in the rooms. Because when you go to meetings, you guys, all it is people just like me sharing. That's it. Like last night when I went, the meeting was about honesty. And when it was my turn to share, I shared about how I spent so many years lying to myself about my addiction and alcoholism. I would tell myself, you're not an alcoholic, you're not an addict, you can use like everybody, you can drink alcohol on Christmas Day and nothing bad will happen. Well, sure, I might be able to drink one glass of wine on Christmas and be fine. But you know what will happen? It'll set off this craving inside of me, you guys. And then next time, I'll drink 2 bottles of wine and dance on the counter naked and lose my job or some craziness like that. We can all get by with a little slip and nobody will know. A lot of us can. And then what will happen is we'll get caught up later on down the road. So we got to go in with an open mind. And so that's why when you're young or in your early 20s, we know it all. When I'm just now admitting at 36 years old that I know absolutely nothing and that I learn from people every day. But when I was 20, you couldn't tell me nothing. I knew everything, every single thing about life. I was so wise, You know what, Sam? Sam, I want to challenge you not to drink this holiday. I want to challenge you to be sober on Christmas with your family. You can do this. If you're still drinking right now, Sam, if you would go into detox tomorrow, you would be out by Christmas and have a sober Christmas. And that could be your mom's Christmas present, is a sober Sam. I'm going to be praying for that. I'm going to pray for sober Sam this year. I don't know shit, you guys. Even when I come on here and I share with you guys what I'm learning in AA, what I learned from, working the steps and staying sober, I'm still my mind was so closed off before. I wasn't willing to accept the knowledge that people were sharing with me about getting sober. I wanted to do everything on my own. I thought I knew better for me. And I finally am at a place where I can admit that I don't know better for me. And I need someone to help guide me. And you know what? If we can all come to that point where we have to realize my best thinking got me here. My best thinking got me 13 years of drug addiction. My best thinking got me put in prison. My best thinking got me my son taken away from me. Okay? Those are the things that happened to me because of the way I thought I knew better for me. And now I'm willing to take suggestions. I'm willing to listen to anybody tell me something. As long as it's not hurting me, you guys, it's not making me go out and break any laws, I'm going to try it. I will try anything to stay sober. I will try anything. So, I love you guys. Ate what, Benzo? What are you talking about? Oh, huh? Yeah, and so after you abuse drugs and alcohol for many years, the years just start mashing together. And the longer you stay in your addiction, the faster time goes by. And when you get sober and you look back, believe me, I cried my eyes out over all the fucking shit that I fucked up and all the things I missed out on because I was busy shooting meth and Roxy's and drinking myself into a fucking coma. I missed out on so much life. You know, I missed out on a lot of good opportunities for myself. I missed out on a lot of family things with my family. I can't live thinking about everything I missed out on, though. Because if I do, it makes me feel like this. It makes me feel like shit. So today what I do is I choose to live in my present right now. I choose to live in today and what I'm doing today. And what I'm doing today is I'm trying to help other people. I'm trying to do the next right thing. I'm taking care of my son. I'm being a good wife. I'm being a good friend. I just made so many stupid decisions when I was on drugs, you guys. And if I can just help one person to not make the same decisions I did, then my channel is like a fucking success. Because seriously, I wouldn't wish the things that I did in my addiction on the worst person. You know what I mean? Like, for real. I was just... When you get to a point where you're just like, all you care about, it's tunnel vision on your drug of choice. And that drug of choice is the only thing that matters to you. And you will do whatever it takes to get that. It's just hardcore, man. And I don't want to live like that no more. So, anyway, I love you guys. I'm going to get off here and go get Nate ready. Because we're going to go get all his lunches for school. And then we're going to go see his Gigi. And just a few things like that. But I hope you guys have a great day. I'm proud of y'all. This is a fucking good stream, I feel like. 11 people. So I'm super proud of everybody, guys. Like, just keep on trying, okay? Keep on doing the next right thing. If you're struggling, if you need any suggestions, if you need help, just text me, okay? Just message me on Instagram or Twitter. I'm always here, okay? And I'll talk to you guys later.